Good evening. I'd like to bring the Rutland Town School Board meeting to order at 6 o'clock. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Linda, would you mind reading the vision?
I will. Engaged, empowered, and prepared for tomorrow. Our mission is to engage and empower students to achieve academic and personal success, preparing them to be responsible citizens who embrace a love for learning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I would take a motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion by Jeff. Any additions, deletions, or modifications? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Drum roll. Staff and student highlights.
Oh.
Do you want to go see Mrs.
Yeah.
Mullen? Go see Mrs. Mullen.
And remember, the camera is there, so not to the camera, not just
I was
us.
going to say, she'll know where it is. Right. Over here too.
I'll try to pay attention.
Oh, nice call. So I think many of you know that Jen, Tift, and I received the Educate, Innovate Award this past fall. It's developed in partnership with the Vermont Lottery and Vermont Agency of Ed, and they actually spent a day here in our school, most of the morning, kind of touring Jen and my classrooms. Yeah. And so we proposed for our grant to do some sensors, just to give our kids an opportunity to do some quantitative data versus just qualitative data all the time. So we have some sensors to show you guys, just so you can see what they look like. Unfortunately, you're not going to see like the outcome because we didn't think to have like a student example for the data there. But you can go ahead and take them around.
So this one is an air sensor here.
I was going to say,
and like we
Chris,
use,
can you go to the next one?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So we use this one to, we grew some yeast, and then we put it inside there and let the kids feed the yeast as their own experiment, and then they were able to see like what worked based on the amount of carbon dioxide that was produced, what worked for feeding the yeast. And then you did...
Yeah, so we did our self-sustaining ecosystems, and so we measured the amount of carbon dioxide and oxygen in our systems to talk about the cycling between animals and plants and trying to see how sustainable their system was, rather than just saying, the plant survived, the isopods survived. It gave them some actual data to say, here's the trend, what do we think is going to happen?
You talk about
I was going to say, and then the one that Tim's holding, which we can pass around too, Jeff, I can pass this over to you, just so you can kind of get a sense of that, is a thermal sensor, and I haven't gotten a chance to use those yet this year, so there'll be a way for us to place those in probes that then will allow students to collect data that doesn't have to just be a thermometer. So they can actually see there's probes that are connected, and they'll be able to actually monitor the data. And what's really cool about these is that it also graphs the data for them, so they can spend more time looking at the trends and the patterns and talking about what it means than copying a data table and then copying a graph. So it allows them to kind of work on more meaning making for their chemistry.
And these ones are similar to little like Hot Wheels or Matchbox cars, and then the data that's collected for these is like potential kinetic energy. So we ran them on like little Hot Wheels tracks like this, which these were really fun, these ones.
And then when they came, they actually did a video of us, and it was very short. And
this is like their promo video for trying to get because they had two $15,000 grants last year, and this year they're doing 4. And so what better way than to have sensors that they could do hands-on?
I think the longer-term impact for the students is going to be their excitement about collecting data and what's possible for them to look at in the future in terms of data collection.
So on our next slide, we just spent a little time talking about, well, I'll let you do it because it's your physics kind of sensors, what we talked about already.
Oh, yeah. So, I guess this was, Josh Blumberg, right? He was the guy who was kind of in charge of the Educate Innovate Award. But they brought, I think there was, I don't even know, half a dozen people from the agency of
A lot of
Ed.
adults.
A lot of adults, and they
the
had
lottery.
Lottery people, and they just spent time. We sort of did like a science fair style, where we set it all up, and then the adults were able to kind of move around and talk to the kids in terms of the, what they were doing, and the kids made posters about their projects, and were able to share with the adults what they were doing.
And on the next slide, it just has kind of what we plan to do for science. So that will happen. So talking about the ecosystems, but then also this year we're going to use the air systems, but also the thermal systems to talk about heat islands, because we have a new climate standard that I haven't taught before. So this will give them an actual opportunity to like look at the school and talk about where are places that are warm, where are places that are cold, why are they like that, is that short term, is that long term. So that'll offer them a connection to thinking about like a heat island where a city would be. We obviously
Data center. The data centers that are happening.
Yes. Yep. And so that'll help them through that. And then also using the air to talk a little bit more about photosynthesis, because I feel like that's one of my really abstract topics that I teach. This will give them some really concrete data with one of the green sensors and be able to collect that data. So instead of saying it makes bubbles, they can say it makes this much CO2. And so those are the sensors that we kind of just explained to you guys. And so Jen and I have been doing some PD through Pocket Lab, which is the name of the sensors. And then they're all stored in a closed space in my classroom, because we can lock them under key, because it is $15,000 worth of equipment we don't want taken. And then we're continuing to kind of evaluate our programming based on rubrics, and kind of hopefully bringing in Megan when she comes back from maternity leave again, or waiting another year to kind of pull this into a 5 through 8 curriculum. So it's not going to be the first time that they see the air sensors when they get to 8th grade. And then this was just, we had a nice piece in the Rutland Herald talking about the grant, and then Sarah and I, because Jen unfortunately was out of state, we got to go to watch the Catamounts at the UVM hockey. So that was a really cool opportunity for us to kind of get a exposure and talk about the grant a little bit. So thanks again, Sarah, for going to that.
Yeah, I was on your coattails.
Yes,
it was fun.
It was a lot of fun.
So proud.
And then we just wanted to leave some time if there were any questions you guys had, or I'm sorry, we could have brought a computer and set some things up, but we figured just for the purpose of your time tonight, we didn't want to turn this into an hour PD session for you. So
Do they follow up with you down the road with some kind of programs or?
So I'm not sure what the lottery and the education, but we actually got to meet the CEO of Pocket Lab when we put forward the kind of the quote and the requisition. He actually got on the actual Zoom call with us, and he's the owner of the company. He wanted to talk to us. This current bundle wasn't one that was like readily available unless you piecemealed it together, and so he helped us kind of put it all together to make it as cost effective as possible.
As far as the AOE, they have politely requested to be invited to come back, and because they just really liked a lot of what we were doing here.
Cool.
So they have asked to come back. I actually just messaged Josh again yesterday to see if we were eligible again, because we have some good ideas, and he said no. Not yet, not for another couple years, but he said just in case you're doing stuff, like, we would like to be invited back to see it. so that was kind of nice.
Because that can snowball with other people that are interested.
Yeah,
in it,
for sure.
so
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're the best.
That was so fun. So sweetheart.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
It's really amazing.
Very much.
Anyone going to incorporate something like this into their science fair project?
I don't think we'll go down all the way to 4th grade. Not quite yet, but I know Catherine and Jen would love to it if we could, but we're going to try and get our feet under us first, and then maybe not let the 10-year-olds play with the really expensive equipment yet.
Not yet.
Yeah,
Not
that's
yet.
a good idea.
Give it some time.
Yeah.
So,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
thank you guys for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
for-
you both so much.
Thank you so much. Oh, sorry. I'm just gonna steal this right out of your way.
You were running a lot of highlights of your work up at the UVM hockey games because I think I told you guys I was up there maybe a couple weeks prior to when you guys got recognized. And at one of the intermissions, I like heard one of your voices in the video, and I was like, "Hey!" And I think that was like a minute-long one that was a whole promo of all the work you guys did and
Oh, nice.
had you guys and the kids and all that stuff. So it was cool.
That's great. Yeah, it's been fun for the kids to see the videos.
Yeah. They're like, wait, that's me. And I was like, yes, you're a celebrity now. So, again, thank you for letting us share.
And you
Thank
guys are too. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for coming.
All right. Thank you guys so much. Thank you both. We'll see you tomorrow.
Get one too? Here,
Good job,
wait.
Nora.
We're all going together.
It's really very amazing.
All right. Next up, teacher staff community comments. I don't see anyone online or here, so I would take a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Jeff. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. So monthly reports are in the packet. Lewis did join us just because I think we had a brief discussion last time about where we were trending with surplus. So it seemed like it might have tightened up a little bit since the last time, but if you want to just give a little clarity, one, on that, and two, if there's any action you think we should explore as a board, as far as, low-lying fruit on maintenance or things that should be handled. I guess for me, I just didn't want to get into our May school board meeting and have like 6 weeks to try to have something come to fruition that, would need a bid or anything like that. So, and we might not be there at all.
Yeah.
But
So the forecast that was provided back in February was showing a surplus of approximately $370,000. That obviously takes into account a bunch of assumptions because we still have a little less than half the year left. So it includes all staffing, contracted benefits, salaries and benefits. It includes all contracted services. Everything that we know about that we have POs for is included. So the things that are not included would be any spending that has occurred since then that was unencumbered. So there's many supply lines, travel lines, student fees, PD lines, where there was still balances left in the budget, but there was items that were not encumbered that have been spent since then. So any of that spending that's occurred would reduce that surplus. I mean, I don't think it's a significant amount, but it's probably going to be to the tune of at least 20, 30, 40,000, depending on what the spending's been over the last couple months. There are things that such as like repairs lines. If you look at it, if you look at the anticipated column, that's what I am putting that. That's what I was anticipating us spending. So the repairs lines, I did have us spending. Just looking at the full repairs line, even though there was money that was still not encumbered. Same thing with like fuel oil, electricity, things that I know we're most likely going to spend. I was anticipating spending the whole budget line. So items like that are not going to reduce the surplus. It's more like if we're purchasing furniture or supplies, PD, smaller type stuff. So I would imagine that we'll still end with a surplus well above 300,000, but it's not going to be to the same tune of 370,000. Looking at the FY27 budget, which is the budget we just approved, we had used prior year surplus in that budget of approximately $265,000. So anything above that amount would be additional revenue and would help our FY28 budget. If we fall below that 265 surplus funds, then we would be looking at going into the FY28 budget cycle with negative revenue. So the board can make a decision to spend some of that surplus before the year ends because that money was still in the same current budget year. But just keep in mind, If we spend it more, that brings us below that 265. And when we go into the FY28 budget cycle, we will be looking at negative revenue in that budget line.
So do you have any particular recommendation or anything at this point, or is it, I mean, it seems to me, based on what you just said, we're sort of in line, might have a little bit of ability to, you know, spend 50 to 60,000 or something, you know, if needed, but not necessary. And still,
Correct. So like we put the bleachers into next year's budget, but we do have the money in this year's budget. If that's something that the board wanted to act on sooner rather than later, and if the vendors were able to do that sooner rather than later, then we could do that this year, and that does free up some flexibility for us next year.
okay.
Same thing with the audio visual. That one's a little bit more. I know we're going out to bid now. We just put the ad in to have that advertised. Bid specs are going out. But if that can get done this year, we do. That is an option. We could do some of those projects that we slated for next year, this year, and that will free up some flexibility next year.
Okay.
What was the amount on the budget, on the bleachers?
50.
So let me just double check that I have it in front of me here. So we put in a total of 156,000 for the bleachers and the audio visual. I believe the audio visual was 90, so the remainder was the bleachers. So about 65, 66.
And Louis, was the audio visual just for the big gym, or was it for the big gym and the cafeteria?
I believe that was just the one
place.
Big gym auditorium.
Okay.
Correct.
I just wanted to have the discussion. I don't know if anyone has any feel. I don't have any true feelings on this. If Sarah has any thoughts in terms of moving it forward, it's also a matter of like logistically how that flows. I mean, you would know better than ourselves as far as like trying to get the bleachers done before July 1. You know.
They wouldn't be able to be done before that because I know Lewis was questioning. We had to get a PO just to get the ball rolling because I think the soonest they can get here is, we just talked to Kelly, August.
I think maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
There also might be some smaller projects that Kelly can do that are slated for next year. We definitely, if the board wants us to do that and act on that by consensus, then I could work with Kelly to try to get some of the projects that he has slated for next year done this year, and then that'll free up his regular local budget.
I mean, I'm fine with that personally. If we're still in the same range as we were with last year's surplus, you know, I don't want it to impact, you know, how we're viewing the next year's budget. You know, but I think I see ways to be proactive with things that we're just simply pushing off just for the click of the calendar.
It just makes sense to do everything at once. If we're going to do the sound system down there and we're going to paint, then we need to change the bleachers out and get that done. That just makes the most sense, for sure.
Sometimes it's
Work on that area, get it done, and then we can concentrate on something else down the road.
prices go up, so sometimes if you're gonna do it, it's better to do it sooner rather than later.
Oh, yeah, well, it's just the fact that it's time for those to be done, you know, whether somebody gets a sliver or not. But we need to make sure that everything is safe for everybody, and this is the time to do it. We have the money to be able to do these things, which in the past weren't being done because they wouldn't give us the money. I think we should do this now and get it done.
So I think what I'm hearing is between Lewis and Sarah, can you work with Kelly on getting some projects done and that 50 to, I guess, deplete 50 to 60,000 of that surplus that we're currently looking at? Does that make sense to you, Lewis?
Yeah. So, the goal would be to get the surplus in the same ballpark as our
Previous year.
budgeted surplus.
Yes.
And Lewis, you're taking into account, I know there's some PD things that we've been in conversation about. That's all incorporated in those numbers?
So those aren't incorporated yet, so that's what I was speaking to earlier. So anything that we've spent between when this report was generated and today would come off that 370,000. So this was produced on 2/19, so in the last approximately 2 months. So, but we are coming up on the PO deadline in the next week and a half. So what I'll do is I will look at once we reach that PO deadline, then I will look at where we are with encumbrances and actual spent compared to where we were with the report, and I can deduct any of that additional spend from that 370, as well as anything else that may have happened that was unexpected, and kind of see where we're at. And if we come in at say like 340, then I know we have approximately 80,000 to work with. So I'll recalculate it before I give Kelly and you a number.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Lewis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving
Have a
on.
good night.
You too. Appreciate it. Moving on. Superintendent's report.
I'll take any questions. There's the only update I really have is the House proposal. Last Friday, the House Ways and Means Committee voted 6-5 to approve this. Now moves on to the Appropriations Committee this week, and I do expect the full House to vote on it later this week. So we'll kind of keep an eye on that. So that's the only real update in terms of where we're at with legislative pieces. So I don't want to, there's a lot in here, and I think I was talking with a few before, just a lot of speculation. I don't really like to speculate too much because it does change day to day, but I think as we see where H955 will go, which is the House proposal, we can talk more about the timeline and what that may look like in May, if that's okay. So.
Okay. Fine with that.
So, okay.
Any questions for Chris before we move on? All right. Principal's report.
All right, thank you. Hello, everyone. So we are knee deep in testing season. So kids have been working really hard with VitCap. We have, thanks to Danielle Fagan and Kate Manaville, we have some raffles for kids that are just putting forth good effort, and we've had families and some local businesses donate. So if they're just putting forth good effort, their name gets put in a basket to draw for various prizes, and we even once a week for teachers, they get a little prize too. So anybody that's been testing, not just those that are doing VitCap. So we're hoping to wrap that up in the next couple weeks. 5th grade, Colby's been helping Megan Zangle with trout. He's going to go help release those in May. I put May, June.
It's likely early June, but yeah, could be late May.
How did that work out? Everything was okay with them?
Yeah, so it's still ongoing. So they got eggs in January, and then they're growing and developing, and they're fry at this point, so just little teeny tiny. We need years for that. But they'll release tiny fry come June down at East Creek. So it's, down the end of the road we cross, and then I think our plan is going to be similar to what I've done in years past, which is some station work, and kids get the fun photo op and enjoyment about releasing the trout themselves and saying goodbye. So hoping for good weather that day because it's always a fun time.
Yeah.
My daughter doing it.
She is too.
Nice. Yeah, there's it's huge around the state. So there's other folks in our district that do it, and then there's a ton of folks around the state through Trout Unlimited that there's a whole big email chain and connected group that they can kind of bounce ideas off each other. So I know Megan, being her first year doing that, has relied on that heavily.
She's part of the Trout Club now.
Yep.
I don't think she saw herself doing that up until this year.
Trout Mom, that's what.
Trout Mom, yes, Trout Mom. Yeah. We lots of celebration stuff. So we celebrated Superintendent Sell's favorite day, Schwa Day, last week, which was fun. Thanks to Sue Q. She had some
big schwas for us to wear.
Big schwas for Mr. Hescock and I to wear. And classroom teachers did a variety of things, included the lunchroom, etc. It was fun. I think I mentioned at the last board meeting about Izzy Klassen and and Violet Poley, thanks to Marie Senieri and Lorraine Cornell for their work with the spelling bee. Mrs. Mandeville is still working with our student ambassadors for our monthly assembly. Mr. Schneider did the jump rope for Heart last week, so we had a bunch of parents come in to participate in that, which was great. Colby's plugging away at EST, which is winding down just a little bit. They're in their final intervention cycle, and then they're giving recommendations for academic tutoring that we touched upon last week. A lot of cleanup is happening. We are on the list for our electrician to come for the sign out front. We just needed that snow to melt, so we're hoping that that will be fixed soon. Kelly's busy just planning and working with Lewis and vendors for some summer projects. And then I won't bore you, but I did this last April as well, to just list all of our happening celebration and upcoming events for the remainder of this year, so you can peruse all of those things. So we got a busy time of the year. This is the final stretch. Some challenges, as always. We're short-staffed. We're still looking to hire a PE health teacher long-term sub. We are now looking to hire a custodian as well. And we will be, I will hope to post a long-term sub for maternity leave for 5th grade math and science, and then for Mr. Hescock for assistant principal. And if anybody is interested in serving as a substitute, Cindy Andrina at central office, feel free to give her a call. We're always looking for substitutes. And I left our enrollment numbers down there, and we did have, I should have mentioned, it's in all of the important dates. We had preschool screenings yesterday. I know our preschool teachers were very tired. It's a marathon of speed dating and meeting everyone. So they did that all day. And then on May 8th, we have kindergarten screening in the afternoon. Any questions?
Nope, none here. None for me, at least.
Tyler Wiedemann was nice and compiled the VitCap summative test results in a presentation. I believe these were shared at the GRCSU board meeting as well, so I don't know if you want to share those. I know we did the FastBridge numbers at the last meeting, the FastBridge report, so I'll leave that up to you.
Yeah, if you want to pull up the VidCap, that would be good.
Sure.
I don't think there's any question on the FastBridge. And I guess, like, on the VidCap, I did look at it some. So if you want to, I don't want to call it Cliff Notes, but in terms of, like, you know, I think it read like we were down in one subject, at least in one cohort, you know, or whatever the case may be, up in a couple of others. And we also realized that these are a year old, right? So I guess, like, instead of talking to the numbers so much, almost like, okay, like, these numbers were up, these exercises were working really well for us, so we kept working with those. Or these were down, were they down for a reason? Was something implemented to try to lift that number? And then I think wasn't last year like one of the first years with that software too, or in
I think this is a couple years. I think
years
last year was probably I should not go on one because I'm going to jinx myself about to finish
I
this
want to
year.
say second, but maybe third.
I feel like I just know last year was probably the true picture of what the test was like, because that may have been the second, if not third year, but it was so clunky, and that's when you would call the VitCap helpline and they'd be like, "Hang on, let me get the manual." And then I would say, I'm looking at page 22, and then they, that was just frustrating. And I think it's still frustrating because kids don't get, we were promised you'll have immediate results. It'll give teachers feedback. So I think sometimes by the time we get these, there's just so many questions. So I know that Danielle Fagan's done a great job, and teachers, and it's in our assessment calendar, of just giving some of these formatives for students, but it is not the same as the test. So I know I was talking to a teacher today who had a small group, and this student was really frustrated because the writing assignment that they were doing, they were really confused because it was more like a journal entry, and they were just confused. So it helps us as teachers to then say, well, maybe we should teach or have the kids read The Outsiders prior to the VitCap, so they'll have more exposure to that type of reading.
Is there time, like, when teachers can do that sort of brainstorming on, feedback on
Well, we
the
can't
test?
see what we're not supposed, like, all of that's secure, so sometimes we're going off of what kids tell us.
Right.
and the practice test is not the same as the actual test. So we can't really, as much as I would love to just be sitting next to a kid and watching every move, you can't do that.
Yeah. Or to look at the results, as a group and say, oh, this is something we can, because that's the whole point of the test, is to
Right.
inform teachers.
Yeah, and
If
we
they
did,
would release it.
we've printed those because we mailed those to parents, and then we give
Yeah.
the option for teachers to look at
Okay,
some of
good.
those. I think for most of the teachers, I can't speak for all, of course, but they have shared with me, I was just talking to a middle school teacher today, and she was like, I really rely on more of the FastBridge and my own classroom assessments.
Yeah.
Because they're good, but they're not great. And I think if you have a kid on a bad day, just like any other test, we've had some kids that try not to come on the day these tests are given, and we have to, no matter when they come, they have to sit and make it up. Yeah.
Yeah, those FastBridge and the classroom tests really inform teachers on how the child is doing.
Yeah, like more in the moment,
Yeah.
realistic. Yeah.
And this one, you were putting a lot of weight on it to say, oh, this is what should be taught at these grades, really. I mean,
I feel like we're running a Pearson Learning Center for this month. That's what I say.
It's a lot of testing.
It's a
ton.
lot of testing.
yeah,
Especially like 5th grade and 8th grade in particular. They have ELA, they have math, and they have science. So they have a pretty heavy dose of testing. Because then we have our own round of FastBridge and all that
Sabers
stuff. So,
and-
yeah.
And we hear it from teachers that they're, like, we have so much to get through, and there's and we're trying to just balance too. If they're doing all this testing, we want to, I know Kate Mandeville brought a lot of the middle schoolers outside for like
Yeah.
an extra recess to give them ice cream. We're trying to, it's hard if you're sitting there for, 2-hour chunks, a break, 2-hour chunks and a break. We're not going to say, okay, let's get back into algebra.
yeah.
We want them to,
It's great that you're
Speak
doing so much to help kids keep their stamina up and do their best, because you want it to be a true picture.
yeah.
I think we try to be really thoughtful too about like time of day and like frequency to like really space it out as much as we can. While at the same time not, going right to the end of the window, because if you get too late in that, then it can be another whole stressor. If
How
students are
long does it
absent.
take typically? Or does it, what's the
It depends
window?
on the sessions. I think oftentimes like an hour and a half-ish is about the window of time that we give students. Now, typically that means students are done less than that in a shorter amount of time. And it does vary, like certain sessions, certain topics, maybe it's more only like an hour-ish, but other ones it's probably closer to that hour and a half time.
And it goes on for a few weeks, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, yep. It's been at least over the past month or so.
Off and on, not
So
all day
interesting.
long.
Oh
of
yes,
course.
yes, because we stagger all the grades, so there's certain day. Oh, 3rd grade and 7th grade are testing
Yeah.
this day. And
Yeah,
I feel like an hour and a half for a early teen, that must be a lifetime.
Oh, come. If
know
you
what?
want them to come in here and tell you about it, they will. They will. I mean, I
Yeah.
hear it from my own tween in 8th grade because she's like, we have to do science now. She's like, I don't even understand anything that's in there, and I'm thinking like, well, she doesn't even remember what they're asking.
I mean, it's good information to have.
It's information.
The more I see with the state testing, it's like the message that sometimes gets put out and portrayed is different than what I sort of pull out of some of these numbers. It's like, because you could be like off by 1 point, right? And it's like test scores are falling. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess technically, if you're down by 1 point, but like.
That's a good point.
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like the way the message is put out there, sometimes I think it's not good for the public to have this information to kind of take a look at. And there's some of those proficiency levels are getting relatively high. I couldn't tell. Is there any gauge or judgment on kind of post-COVID year kind of gain? I know there's losses during COVID, right? Like, seem like some of the cohorts seem to be like jumping up pretty so are they getting back back what they had lost, or is it?
I mean, yeah, I think that's hard to say. I think
I saw that some were like +8, +9 point or whatever things like that. So that's why I was wondering.
And I think having incentives does help, because last year was the big push. I know when I started here as assistant principal, started doing incentives, and I think for some kids, they know it doesn't impact high school recommendations, right? It doesn't impact college, and they'll say it like it whatever. So it's also, it's intrinsic motivation to do well, and it seems like a lifetime to sit and do this. And I also, typically our FastBridge scores, especially for 7th and 8th grade, we see them dip in the spring. Like, they're just done. So we really try to be like, come on, like, show us what you know. These are going to go to the high school. And they're like, we already signed up for classes, and I'm registered. I mean, they're right. I'm good. So I think, it definitely gives us some talking points. I just don't want to become a school that we just teach to the test. Like looking at some things that Katie and Jen just shared with us, that's not going to be in your VIC app. But it's preparing them for high school and beyond. And it's next generation science standards that they're incredible teachers. And I was telling Superintendent Sell on a half day, we have a half day on a Friday. I forgot what it was for. Conferences, thank you. But I walked by classrooms, and it was business as usual. I walked by Katie's room, and the kids had flashlights and labs set up. I'm like, even with 22-minute mini blocks, they are very intentional on what they're doing. They're making use of every minute that they have of instruction.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate that. Anyone have any questions on the topic? No. All right.
Great job.
Thank you. Thank you to our teachers and our kids.
Well-deserved, well-timed break coming up for my kids, I can say. So.
It's a week later, we can feel it.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Contract recommendations. Let's see. Do I need to read these?
There's one, the professional staff, we need a motion.
Yeah, I'll take a motion to approve the professional staff. Is it Kowalski?
Kowalczyk.
Kowalczyk. Mrs. K.
Mrs. K. Okay.
Chicago with me.
Chris has it.
I take a motion to approve the contract for Mrs. K. Full name you'll find in the minutes if you would like to see them.
I make a motion to approve the contract for Mrs. K.
All right.
Yes. I agree.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Motion passes. Vacancies or informational only. Upcoming meeting will be May 12th, and there is a board meeting schedule in the packet too. If you want to put those in your phone or your calendar.
Okay, should I share that with the town office manager?
If you want to
Because he-
share it with the circle, it would be probably a good idea.
I'll share it with the circle. That just came out, though. It won't come out again until June, but I will share it with the circle. But then they put it on the town website, so
Okay.
I'll update that
Okay.
too. Okay. I think just that, and the other thing that needs to be updated is the you and Colin's new dates for
Okay.
participating on the school board, so,
Expiration dates. Or...
yeah. There's no expiration date for you, though. You don't expire.
No?
Just like milk.
Unlimited.
Not like milk. Okay.
Supreme
but-
Court.
So I will do those two things, the circle and town website. Good.
All right, so May 12th for upcoming meeting. Still no staff or teachers or community. We do not need to have the executive session that was proposed. So I will take a couple of minutes for good and welfare. If anyone has anything they want to share as spring is upon us, kind of.
I came to the jump rope for heart the other day, and it was amazing. And Keith he had basically single-handedly had all of those second graders, first graders down there, and he was like, I think there was Jill Alderman was there, and it was like, it was amazing the way he had them doing everything, and the kids did a great job, and he did a great job, and for a great cause once again.
Yeah.
That was awesome. And my other grandson was here yesterday for his screening, and I'm sure he wore everybody out. Thank you.
Great.
Could I just share something real quick?
Sure.
We had our 101 Dalmatians school play for 4th grade and up. Joe, I know you came. I brought my little guy with me, and it was so, Aaron Audette does a great job helping with sound. He gives his time. Sally Hogan does an incredible job with set design and incorporating, all kids. And Sarah, the director, just does a phenomenal job of incorporating all kids. It was so cute. And there were a couple of students in particular that parents had chatted with me afterwards that haven't really found their niche, like sports or anything like that. And they found their niche. So I think just the more opportunities, I know it's part of our strategic plan and all those things, but the more opportunities that we can provide for kids to just try things and expose them to different things is our goal. And it was great. It was a wonderful night.
And 2 packed houses, I think, too.
Yeah, I wasn't there Thursday night,
Yeah.
but I don't know if anybody else was, but it was packed.
I think so. That's what I heard, yeah.
Yeah, and lots of teachers came out to support too, which was great.
I was glad to go and see teachers and see kids and their families. So it was a real good community event.
And Mrs. Dubois even came, and she had, she
Yeah.
works at a different school, but she had some of these students in preschool, so she wanted to come back and watch them.
So sweet.
So sweet.
It was a fun night.
That's awesome. I did not attend, but having Sophie being theater for all those years, I can attest to the community that it delivers. She used to have a shirt that said like theater is my sport before she got into other sports, and I totally agree. I mean, I just she found the social aspect of sport. I think there's a social aspect of theater. I think that sport provides entertainment, theater provides entertainment. I think theater can be extremely challenging considering you almost have to be mistake proof, right? When you're up there, like you practice and practice and practice, and even in sport on the court or the field, errors happen, missed shots happen, all that sort of stuff. But when you're up there for theater, your expectation is almost perfection, so kudos to those kids for what they do and for the staff to support them. So I thought a pretty cool moment yesterday, unrelated to Rutland Town, but the community as a whole. I've sporadically heard this, like the Star Spangled Banner crackling out at games, and the stands start to sing. Well, at the Rutland High lacrosse game yesterday, they had, I guess, no sound, so both teams were just singing.
Oh, that's
Not
awesome.
great, but singing, at the top of their lungs, which I thought was just super cool start to the season for those girls, and they seem to enjoy it and have some pride in just participating in that experience. So that's all I have.
Nice.
Colin, anything to share from the West Coast?
Yeah, it's terrible. It's like 70 degrees. I'm looking at
Look at this.
here in the ocean.
Jeez,
Those are you guys.
We had a tornado warning about an hour ago here.
yeah.
Torrential downpour. There may have been some hail. Good times.
The lightning.
Yeah, a little lightning.
Just feel bad for me. It's terrible. So.
That. All right. Well, safe travels. Enjoy your time out there.
Yeah, thanks for getting on.
Are we not doing an executive session?
No need on an executive session. We're all good on
All
that.
right. Be well the rest of the week. I'll see you guys.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
He's dedicated, honestly, from 3,000 miles away.
All right. Anything else to share? Are we good? You feeling good?
Just thank you to the teachers who do the parent-teacher conferences. Really appreciate their time, and they put so much energy and work into like just a little bit amount of time that they share with you. But I just so appreciate all the nice things that they have to say and the positive feedback. And even when it's things that kids are needing to work on, the way they share it is always in a positive way. Yeah, and the play, the jump. The play, I did text a couple parents afterwards congratulating their kids, but one just saying the smile, the genuine smile on that child's face on the stage. I was like, oh, she's a dancer too. But I was, well, that's it. I've lost to the theaters. Like, that is. So it was really, it's always fun to watch. I'm so impressed with everyone involved in the plays.
All right. Well, on that note, I will take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Adjourned at 6:46.
Oh, I should write